All right, guys, welcome back to the Everything College Football Podcast. Today, me and Nick are going to be breaking down our Iowa State preview and prediction for the 2022 season. Looking at this coaching staff, it's mainly remained intact. Matt Campbell, he's back for his 7th season. Had some very enticing offers in the offseason, but he decided to stick around. He's 42 and 34 all time here at Iowa State. Tom Manning, back for his 4th year on the staff. He's the offensive coordinator, 2nd year in that role. John Heacock, 7th season with the program. Him and Campbell have been together all along. He'll be the defensive play caller. Iowa State had 4 players drafted in April. That's the most selections in a single draft by the school since 1977. So the Matt Campbell effect is well in high regards. Big problem, though, is they returned only 8 total starters from last season. Big-time turnover. That's the biggest we've seen at Iowa State in years. So this is going to be a big-time, challenging season for Iowa State. But looking at this offense, they're probably the most affected as they return only 5 starters, mainly at receiver and on the offensive line. Hunter Deckers, he's going to take over at quarterback. Wasn't very impressive in his limited appearances. The OU game, for example, it seemed very nervous, hesitant, just lacked overall confidence. Tough spot to be thrusted into. How is he going to replace Brock Purdy, who is by far the greatest quarterback in school history?
It's going to be interesting to see what the transition is in Ames, Iowa. Brock Purdy had such a great career at Iowa State for the standard he ends up declaring for the NFL draft following his career. I think that Deckers has a potential here to step up. But like you said, he showed looked a little nervous in the OU game, didn't quite put it together. It's interesting to see if he can kind of make that move, get comfortable there. He didn't have a whole lot of attempts last season, only about 36 passing attempts, only completed 20 of them during his limited appearance. So it's interesting to see if he can step up. I don't know if he can. I'm definitely question that. And they also lose some running backs as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what this offense can retool and do because they lose so much talent.
Yeah, and they replace, like you said, Breece Hall. That's the 3rd running back drafted in the past 4 years, back-to-back starters. That's good news for Jarrell Brock. 215-pounder. I don't really know much about him. Or Deion Salas, who's 5'8", 185 pounds. Because we just haven't seen these guys. The running backs at Iowa State, David Montgomery before Hall, these guys are complete workhorses. These guys all run with attitude. I think that's something they really preach here at Iowa State because those 2 backs were very similar. They're workhorses, and now they're in the league being early draft picks. So I'm very excited for this running back group. They coach these guys up. They're also very durable, too, and they also do a bit of everything. So this is a pretty good spot to be at right now, it seems, for running backs. So you don't know these names. I don't even know them, but I think at the end of the year, you'll certainly know Brock or Cialis, maybe someone else deeper on the roster as well. They also replaced 2 tight ends, though. I think that's probably one of the biggest losses on this offense. Chase Allen, he's gone. Charlie Kolar. They get Jared Russ coming in. They also have Easton Dean, though, 6'6", 255. We'll see what kind of roles these guys are up for. Dean has that size that was very similar to the other 2. Then we returned one of their top 5 pass catchers from a season ago. I really like Jalen Noel, though. He caught 35 passes, only 265 yards. I expected his role to be more of an underneath weapon, get him the ball in short areas in the slot. Should see a big role this year. Alongside him, Xavier Hutchinson, great route runner. More of a possession pass catcher, had under 1,000 yards on 83 grabs, but I think they have a really respectable duo here for Deckers to work with.
I like Hutchinson a lot, 11.9 yards per catch and 5 touchdowns last season, but I also think the running game is going to be really key in Ames this year. Are they going to ground and pound the ball a lot? They got 2 running backs here who look like they could be very durable backs. They're going to carry the ball a lot and hopefully bail out their quarterback. If they get a lead early, especially on the road, maybe they carry the ball, stick to the run game, don't have to put the quarterback into pressure situations where he can turn the ball over. I like Noel as well. Noel, like you said, I think he's a talented wide receiver. Interested to see if he can make a step up. He didn't have as many receptions last year. He wasn't getting targeted a whole lot. I like that duo there. I really think there is some serious potential. Hutchinson especially, I think he has a lot of potential. But I also think the offensive line is important to look at. They're impressive, but will they stand up to the test this year?
Yeah, Campbell, he's very high on this offensive line group. He loves the talent. I think he said this is the deepest they've ever been at this positional group. They get back 4 starters and the new right tackle, Jake Remsburg. He was the starter in 2020, so experience is plenty here in Ames on this offensive line. They also have Trevor Downing coming back. He's one of the best on this. He's probably the best on this unit. He's a leader, one of the top centers in all of college football. They also got back Sean Shaw. He's going to crack the starting lineup at wide receiver. That's a senior I forgot to mention. Certainly some underlying experience here on this offense, but it's certainly going to be an interesting year. They replace a lot, especially on defense. 3 returning starters, they're all highly impactful. Will McDonald's the first one, 14 tackles for loss, 11.5 sacks, 5 forced fumbles, good length. This guy works through double teams superbly with a good spin move, good dip. I really like him. Orion Vance, a linebacker. He wasn't as impactful in years prior. compared to 2021, but he's a reliable veteran. They're going to look to get a lot out of him this fall. And then Anthony Johnson, 42 career starts at corner. He's going to move to safety. Plenty of experience here in this scheme. They like to roll out 5 DBs. His physicality, ability to cover with range and speed makes him a good fit for safety. So those are the 3 returning starters, all highly impactful. Outside of that, though, very questionable unit. But these guys play tough. It's a good scheme. They really coach them up here. John Heacock does a great job with these guys. What are your expectations for this front 7 to get things started?
I really like what they do with Will McDonald here. 14 tackles for loss, 11.5 sacks. Like you said, he's such a high motor, can break away from tackles, get held down. Very talented player, can pressure the quarterback. I like to see what he can do. I think he's going to get around the corner a lot this year. Interested to see what type of production he has. They don't return a whole lot, but they have a lot of guys who they're going to coach up this offseason, work on, and get them built for the fall and get them ready to go. I think Anthony Johnson moving to safety is a really interesting move. I like him as a player, like you said. I think we both agree he's a very talented player. Is he going to fit at safety, and to see if that adjustment as well? They lost the transfers in the secondary. The secondary is going to be a whole revamp this year. It'll be interesting if they can keep up, especially early on in the season.
Yeah, they did add Delaware linebacker Colby Reeder via the portal. 55 stops in 8 games last year. Played in a very similar scheme, a 3-3-5 at Delaware. So that's a good add, I think, for them. Always reaching into the FCS to pull out a player that's got experience and some talent. That's always a good add. So I like what they did there. Isaiah Lee, who's a solid rotational piece. He's going to step in to the starting lineup at defensive tackle. Very far and few names here to talk about because there's not many notes on these guys. They're all very underrated recruits. Some of them probably aren't even ranked on most boards, but the guys that do are coming back, I'm very excited for. Looking at the secondary, like you said, they lost a lot of guys to the portal. Craig McDonald, he was a young rising star. He's gone to Auburn. Isheem Young, also going to the SEC. He's going to be one of the nation's top safeties there at Ole Miss. And Detrani Young, he's heading to the ACC and Duke. So very disappointing losses for them. Bayou Freiler, though, 41 tackles. For the most part, haven't seen that much of him. Very interested to see what this new group can do. It's always fun to have a 3-3-5 scheme because, you have so many DBs out there. Makes it hard for some of these tougher passing attacks, especially in this conference. It's really worked out for them. What are your final thoughts on this defense that's, granted the step back and was pretty disappointing last year? They had games like against West Virginia and Baylor where they really didn't step up against the run. They were very poor. Overall, the theme for this defense under Matt Campbell has been second halves. These guys are so good in the back half of football games. Overall, though, how you feeling?
It's always tough when you play in the Big 12 and they're going to air it out every game. You're going to be facing against these high-octane offenses who are going to absolutely air the ball out on you. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think Johnson's a big key here, moving him to safety. I really like that move for him. I like the leadership he has. I think he has real potential. But when you lose so many players and you're not really bringing a lot of guys in, except for when you bring in the move for the player from Delaware, I'm just concerned with the defense. They gave up 309 yards per game last year. I think they'll be giving up maybe more than that, potentially 310, 320, something like that. I'm just concerned with the defense and their ability to keep up with these high-powered offenses in the Big 12.
Yeah, 309 is a really good number, but like you said, it could fall off by 10 yards, maybe even 100 yards. It'll be interesting to see what happens. Looking at the schedule, though, and the prediction, they have not beat Iowa, and God knows how long they go on the road this year. I have them losing that game, but overall, I have them starting 4-1, and that includes a win over Baylor. The theme since 2016 is the home team has won that game. It's always been a very close series. I'm going to follow the trend on that one. I have Iowa State beating Baylor here in Ames. 7-5 overall. It's kind of a hot take since they only went 7-6 last year. But the schedule is not ultra tough. They get some pretty good matchups at home. They're all around. They were much better on defense last year, of course. They were much better than the record even indicated last year. This team, they play hard. They play with a lot of discipline. I'm not sure what they're going to do this year on either side of the ball because, again, they don't bring in crazy talent. And, this is kind of a rebuild year for Iowa State. So I think 7-5, it might be a bit of a reach, but looking at who I have them beating, I don't think it's that far-fetched to see them step up, especially when they all the games they lost last year by 10 or less, 5 of them were by 1 score. So this team, they have a lot of heart. I think they'll showcase that this year.
Iowa State has lost 6 in a row against Iowa. They should lose the 7th in a row this year. Iowa is a really strong team. I look at the schedule. I think the 3 games in the middle of the season are really going to be tough to play. Home to Kansas State, at Texas, home to Oklahoma. Those are 3 teams that are going to be potentially very strong this year in the Big 12. That's a tough schedule build right there. But you look at it late in the season, West Virginia, Texas Tech, TCU, they can win those 3 games. They should be able to win those 3 games and sneak their way into bowl eligibility. They get no bowl game. Hopefully they can get a win from Matt Campbell, grab another bowl win because they disappointed in their bowl game last year against Clemson and Cheez-It Bowl. This team, they're mediocre, average. They're going to end up in a bowl game. 7-5, I think, is a very fair assessment for this team, considering how the schedule is built. But it's definitely tough playing Texas on the road, playing Iowa on the road, playing Oklahoma State on the road. Definitely tough matchups.
Yeah, this is a big year, though. Maybe to set them up for something in 2023. Development this season is really going to be the focal point. And I think that could potentially set them up for a conference crown in 2 years from now. So it'll be fun to watch. The season certainly means a lot for Iowa State and its players with what's on stake in the future. So it's going to be it for today's episode. As always, Nick, appreciate you joining.
Thank you so much.
Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe. See you next time.